Good evening and welcome to the meeting of the Newport News City Council for August the 13th. We ask if you're here to speak tonight that you fill out a card located in the lobby and mark the item to which you wish to address on the agenda card. If the item you wish to speak to is not on the agenda, we ask that you mark item I, which are matters germane to the business of council. We have a light system on our podium. After you give your name and address, the green light will come on. At the end of 2 minutes, the yellow light, and at the end of 3 minutes, the red light, and we ask that you take your seat. The City Code identifies the procedure for citizen participation regarding items on tonight's council agenda and provides the opportunity for citizens to address City Council on matters that are germane to the business of council. Matters that are germane to the business of council means matters that the City Council by law is empowered to act upon. This does not include announcements that are personal to you, your business, or your organization, including campaign information. Copies of the city ordinance regarding citizen participation can be found at the desk in the lobby. If you intend to address council this evening, please pick up and review a copy of that ordinance. We also ask at this time if you will silence your phones. As usual, we will have an invocation and a pledge of allegiance, and we invite Pastor Ben Rothwell from Crosswork Church to deliver an invocation to the City Council. Afterwards, I'm going to ask Councilman Harris to lead us in the pledge. For both, will you please stand?
City Council, thank you for having me tonight. Mayor Price, grateful, thank you. Would you pray with me tonight? God, it is in the presence of these witnesses and the most esteemed council of our city that we ask you preside over our gathering with your profound presence, through divine wisdom. While so many important matters are discussed and opinions are presented, different ideals are considered, there exists no doubt in the minds of us present here the ambitious desires of our city's leadership and that of the fine people of our city is that we would lead those we have the opportunity to lead with stewardship and with courage. As we spend our time and our energies ever ambitiously toward growth and progress, there lies evident in front of us so many challenges which we may lack immediate responses to. It is therefore our unified prayer that you would guide us. Under leadership, both appointed and elected, that you would empower us with the necessary balance, the humility of the strength required to inspire change that will result in the betterment of all of us. Provide us with grace, with mercy, with patience, with fortitude, with courage. Most of all, provide us with resolve that in the face of different challenges around our world, racism, hatred, violence, disaster, those challenges which are both evident and implicit within our own culture, that our perspective would never be deterred from those truths to which we are so ardently convicted, the joy, peace, health, fulfillment, our nation and our world. We lift up a special prayer today for our brothers and sisters still suffering in the wake of El Paso and Dayton. We express thanks in our own safety here. We lift up those who are still healing, who are praying for restoration, those who experience the full breadth and fallout of the travesties. Strengthen them, protect them, bring them hope. Help us to remember their suffering, and may it inspire us to elicit change. Help us to take our universal stance of the value of human.
Thank you. Before we begin the public hearings, we received a letter asking that one of us who was on the prevailing side of the CIP to revisit that. And I'd like to move this up to the agenda with the consent of council, if that's agreeable with the majority of council. Can I get a consensus? Agreed.
Second.
Agreed. So we have 4. So with that, we will revisit the CIP motion.
First, there needs to be a motion to reconsider.
Okay.
And that motion would need to be seconded.
Thank you.
And the
Motion to reconsider.
No,
Oh,
the motion has
person
to be made by a person who is on the prevailing side.
Motion to reconsider.
Second.
Moved in second. Call the roll, please.
Councilman Harris.
4.
Councilman Jenkins.
4.
Mayor Price.
4.
Councilwoman Scott.
Against.
Vice Mayor Vick.
4.
Councilwoman Woodbury,
4.
Councilwoman Cherry.
4.
Motion carry 6-1.
That's just to reconsider.
It's just a motion to reconsider the motion.
So now the original resolution that was before the council, the motion that was before the council last meeting is before the council again for discussion.
If there is any discussion before the vote, anyone wish to have a discussion?
But don't you have to have a motion?
The motion, we're back to the motion that there was last meeting.
Okay. All right. So
This
we're-
is now open for
It's
discussion.
being reconsidered.
Okay.
Any-
I'd like to speak since I was on the prevailing side. Having looked at the CIP and really going through it carefully, I wanted to know what projects were pending that the city manager made reference to at our last meeting when we voted on the CIP. And there are some very important projects that I think that in getting the CIP passed for this year, and I want to be specific that I'm talking about for this fiscal year only, that I think we need to be able to move forward with, especially the full implementation of the Choice Neighborhood Initiative of the Southeast community. As you all know, I represent the Southeast community, and that community has been in lack for more than 40-plus years of having some transformation. And I think to be able to have, to do the full implementation of the Choice Neighborhood Initiative is one of the main reasons why, is one of the reasons. There are other improvements to the Denbighshire Warwick area. I also had an opportunity to speak with the city manager and shared my concern for the project for phasing at the Denby Community Center for the pool. I agree with Councilwoman Scott that it has been 20 years in waiting, and so I'm looking forward to what we're going to do to help move that project forward for that particular district. Also, there are some other things that I think are important. The Campbell Road Improvement Project, we have been talking about Campbell Road for a long time, and I think that we're moving forward in that project, so I would like to be able to support us in moving forward with that. And there are other things that have been listed that are really concerned for me, that I think for this fiscal year that I'm willing to support the CIP for this fiscal year, but also to look at what I shared before. How do we look at specific projects that will enhance bringing small businesses and incentives, especially the Huntington Middle School project? I don't want us to do anything for myself personally, because I very much support building a school, rebuilding a middle school in the Southeast community. That's part of this fiscal year, and I don't want to do anything to hinder us moving forward and getting the plans for that project done as well. So my vote will be for the CIP this time. Thank you.
Any further discussion?
Yes, I'd just like to make a comment. I totally respect what Dr. Cherry has done in her decision and why she changed her vote to reflect as it did, but I can't change mine. Nothing changed from the time I voted the last time to today. And as she indicated, she represents the South, I represent the North, and the citizens in North District sent me here to do a job to represent them, and I just can't accept it as the CIP as it is, so I cannot change my vote today, but I do respect her decision to revisit this. Thank you.
Call the roll, please.
Councilman Harris,
I'm going to vote against, and also I want to thank Ms. Roth for meeting with me to discuss it, but I'm still voting against.
Councilman Jenkins,
Against.
Mayor Price,
4.
Councilwoman Scott,
Against.
Vice Mayor Vick,
4.
Councilwoman Woodbury,
4.
Councilwoman Cherry.
4.
Motion carry 4-3.
Thank you. We're now at public hearings. The first one, page 4, item E1, is a request to adopt an ordinance amending ordinance number 7473-18 to increase the dimensions of easements to be acquired at 4002 and 4004 Campbell Road, authorizing the city manager to make offers to acquire by purchase or condemnation portions of property interests of the Campbell Road Improvements Project, to provide funds for this purpose, and authorizing the city manager to execute all documents necessary to effectuate the acquisition. The amendment to the ordinance is necessary to reflect an increase in the area of the property interest taken from parcel 27 and parcel 28, and to reflect the associated increase in the parcels for parcel 27 and 28. Are there any cards?
No, sir.
Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second. Call the roll, please.
Councilman Harris,
4.
Councilman Jenkins,
4.
Mayor Price.
4.
Councilwoman Scott,
4.
Vice Mayor Vick,
4.
Councilwoman Woodbury,
4.
Councilwoman Cherry.
4.
Motion carries 7-0.
Move adoption.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I just wanted to ask what the extra, because when I read through it, I didn't see why the extra
It
was
just-
needed.
It was just a few square feet. Most of it, the extra was additional temporary construction easement that would be needed for staging as they're actually doing it. So it was a small amount, but because it was an increase, we had to bring it back to council.
Okay.
And there's some additional costs associated.
I know, I saw that.
I'd just like to comment, Mr. Mayor, the Director of Engineering, Mrs. Skipper, and I, and someone else from his team attended a meeting with the Campbell Road citizens, and they were very concerned about this. And their concern was that the schedule keeps changing, which we do understand, and we try to explain it as best as possible. But what they're asking us to do, and I told them we can do, is just to keep them abreast of, progress, maybe a quarterly report or something, or reach out to them, or in any way possible to let them know what's going on. But I do appreciate what we're doing here to move this project forward. It's been pending for so long, and Campbell Road, it's really a dangerous situation, especially with all of the, most of the residents on Campbell Road being elderly and having to back out to get in the road to go wherever they're going. So this has been a project that I'm glad it didn't move any further off the scale, and that it's not, the impediments are not on the city's part, but because of land acquisition. And I think it's important that we point that out to the citizens, because when they don't know that it's because of land acquisition, they just assume that the city is delaying the project. So I just wanted to make that point for the record. Thank you.
Call the roll.
Councilman Harris,
4.
Councilman Jenkins,
4.
Mayor Price,
4.
Councilwoman Scott,
4.
Vice Mayor Vick,
4.
Councilwoman Woodbury,
4.
Councilwoman Cherry.
4.
Motion carries 7-0.
Item F contains the following items. Page 11, minutes of the special joint work session of the City Council and the School Board of June 25th, minutes of the work session of July 9th, minutes of the regular meeting of July 9th, and minutes of the special joint meeting of the City Council, Planning Commission, and Economic Development Authority, Industrial Development Authority of July 16th.
There's one other item.
Say again?
There's also a fifth item.
I'm sorry.
Next page. There's one other item.
Yeah. A request to adopt an ordinance amending the City Code, Chapter 15, Elections, Article 1, Voting Precincts, Section 15-47, Voting Places in Respective Voting Precincts, thereby authorizing the relocation of the Wilson Precinct from Pandora Lodge to Abbey Baptist Church. Do any of these need to be removed by council? If not, a motion to approve the consent agenda items F1 through F5, all inclusive, is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Yes, I just wanted to comment and say a thank you to all the parties involved for the special meeting for the Denby Ward Plan with the our City Council and the Planning Commission, as well as the IDA, because I thought that was a really good meeting, that we were able to, meet collectively to share our ideas and make comments within that same room, and to be able to go on a tour. So many times as we're making decisions, of course we can go by ourselves to see different sites before we vote on them, but to be able to have the bus tour, to have a collective conversation about the Denby area and the things we can look at improving, the discussion about trying to get additional investments to come to the area, investors to come to the area. So I really want to commend the group for putting that together for us as a body.
It was a good meeting.
I have
Any-
a question.
Yes.
For number 5, what's the cost of moving this voting precinct? Because this directly impacts our precinct, our voting district. What's the cost that's associated with moving it to Ivy Baptist, and how long are we talking about this relocation being? What's the purpose? Help me to understand the purpose.
My understanding is it's permanent, and if
But I
you
need
wanted
to know
come
why.
forward and address the cost, we didn't have the cost included in
Well, I'd
here.
like to know what the cost is, and
Yes,
if that's a
ma'am.
cost of
I
the city or
understand.
cost of the state, and why are we doing this? Is it that we're getting more people at Pandora? I mean, what's going on?
Good evening, everyone. The reason we're relocating out of Pandora Lodge is because the building is not being kept up, and it's unclean, it's not clean, and it's deteriorating. So we were looking for a new polling place in the Wilson precinct, and we found Ivy Baptist Church. They have an auditorium that has a separate entrance from the front of the church that we can utilize as the voting precinct. The only cost associated with it would be the cost to mail the inserts to the voter that they've been relocated.
Okay, so the church is not charging us
No, ma'am.
anything to
No,
have
ma'am.
it as a voting precinct?
No, ma'am.
there? Okay, I just wanted to make
Well,
sure.
very welcoming for us.
Okay, I just want to know, and is that going to be a permanent location until we find another one? Or
It's going to be a permanent location because we're unaware of any other public buildings within the Wilson precinct to utilize.
Okay, thank you, I just need those questions answered.
May I ask Vicki,
Mm-hmm.
please? On election day, since this is moving like a few months before election, do you also put a notice on Pandora Lodge in case people show up there so
Yes.
they'll know to go to
Yes, we
Ivy?
will. Yes, ma'am.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, well, thank you all for your support.
Thank you.
Call the roll, please.
Councilman Harris,
4.
Councilman Jenkins,
4.
Mayor Price,
4.
Councilwoman Scott,
4.
Vice Mayor Vick,
4.
Councilwoman Woodbury,
Or,
Councilwoman Cherry.
4.
Motion carries 7-0.
Page 95, item G1, Madam Manager.
Yes. The first item is a request to approve a resolution to authorize the city manager to execute a lease by and between the City of Newport News, Virginia, and Blue Cannon LLC for general office warehouse space located at 802 Blue Crab Road, Suite 500. I recommend approval.
Are there any cards?
No, sir.
Is there a motion to approve the resolution?
so moved.
Second?
Moved in second. Any discussion?
I have a couple of questions, I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. So, if I recall, did we not vote recently when we were trying to find a location for the Christmas tree on this storage here?
Yes.
So
Well,
what
it was a different, this is a different unit. This is to store other things that Parks and Rec has scattered around the city.
Okay, so, but with that one, so is this a continuation of that agreement, or is
No,
this something?
this is a separate
This
agreement.
is gonna be
That was a
separate-
5-year agreement that commenced in February, I believe.
Okay,
And this is a year-to-year agreement so that either party can terminate it on 90 days' notice at the end of each year.
okay, because if I recall correctly, and help me, the base rent and the charges were at one price, and then they went down. And I
Yes.
questioned that, and I questioned how come it's going
no,
down,
you're
and it was
correct,
because they were
because-
doing some improvements. So, but as I'm looking at this one is going up. So help me
This-
understand what the difference is in the two.
Yes. Well, this is just a different cost in terms of, this is, as the city attorney mentioned, this is a different lease agreement for it. And we are consolidating into one unit to use for other things that the Parks and Rec has to store. They are anticipating the efficiencies between the more centrally located are going to help offset those costs as well. But it will be picked up through their operating budget.
Okay, but it still be two separate,
Yes,
it's being the
ma'am.
same
And this-
location, but
yes.
two separate units?
Yes, this is a little slightly higher lease, and there is an escalator in there.
Okay, I just want to be clear.
As the
'cause I-
city attorney, we are constantly evaluating our space needs, and
Okay,
this is something that we need to do now that we think
Okay.
is cost effective.
this is an addition to?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I just want to be clear. Thank you. Thank you.
Call the roll, please.
Councilman Harris,
4.
Councilman Jenkins,
4.
Mayor Price,
4.
Councilwoman Scott,
4.
Vice Mayor Vick,
4.
Councilwoman Woodbury,
4.
Councilwoman Cherry.
4.
Motion carries 7-0.
Page 111, item G2, Madam Manager.
Yes, this is a request to approve a resolution endorsing the city's Transportation Alternatives Program, TAP, application for the Nettles Drive Sidewalk Improvement Project, and I recommend approval.
Are there any cards?
No, sir.
Is there a motion to approve the resolution?
Second?
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I brought this up today at work session, and I would like, if our Department of Engineer, if our director is here, because I had a great concern about the Nettles Drive Improvement Project, because I represent the residents at Harpersville Road, and we have talked about sidewalk improvement. So if you can explain so that the residents that, especially that Bayberry neighborhood, will understand about when that project is completed.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
We requested the funding for the Harpersville Road project some 2 years ago in October of 2017 as an application to the Virginia Department of Transportation for the first available funding we could find, which was a highway safety improvement grant under something called the Bicycle and Pedestrian Safety Program. We were granted that money, but the money becomes available to us for design in fiscal 2021, which starts next summer, for land acquisition in fiscal 2022, which is the summer following, and for construction in fiscal 2023, which is the summer following. So we have those 3 periods. That money is committed. VDOT has put that money into the 6-year plan. It's available to us, and we will do that project in that fashion. This particular project actually had a shorter period between application and funding being available. This particular funding comes spring of 2021 would be the date for this application going in 2019. So although the money would come equal with the start of the Harpersville project, it's an application today. We will not know for sure until the Commonwealth Transportation Board acts in the spring of next year whether or not that money would be available.
For Nettles.
For Nettles, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, and I'm hoping that when we have another meeting scheduled for the Bayberry Watch neighborhood group, that you will be willing to come and share where we are in process for the Harpersville Road, if you would.
Yes, ma'am.
sir.
I think that'll be our 6th meeting with the Neighborhood Watch, and we will
And
be
that's
happy
fine,
to be there.
6 to 10, whatever it takes to make sure that they understand that they are being represented and that their voices are being heard. And I just want to make sure, because I know that that's a critical area for our residents that are in motorized chairs.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
so I just want to make sure that they hear it and that they're hearing it. Okay. I
Happy to be
appreciate it.
there.
Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
Call the roll, please.
Councilman Harris,
4.
Councilman Jenkins,
4.
Mayor Price,
4.
Councilwoman Scott,
4.
Vice Mayor Vick,
4.
Councilwoman Woodbury,
4.
Councilwoman Cherry.
4.
Motion carries 7-0.
Page 115, item G3, Madam Manager.
This is a request to adopt an ordinance amending and reordaining City Code Chapter 22, Library System, Article 3, Law Library, Section 22-39, availability of books, reports, and papers to public, and removal of same from library, and I recommend approval.
Are there any cards?
No, sir.
Is there a motion to adopt the ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
May I just ask a question? Yes.
Sure.
I'm sorry, I read. Okay, does this align with other jurisdictions that allow their magistrates to go into the law? Is that in alignment?
I don't know what other jurisdictions do.
I'm-
Right now,
I've got the
our-
library director here, if she can speak to that. I'm not sure if she has that information.
Good evening. I'm not sure. There are 21 public law libraries in the state, and each jurisdiction kind of handles how they want to make the materials available and who they want to make available to. We got a request from the Chief Magistrate for Hampton and Newport News, who also serves on the Law Library Advisory Committee, and she asked that this privilege be granted to herself and other magistrates in the area.
Okay, because that was my second question, who authored the request? Thank you so much, appreciate
welcome.
that. Thank you.
Could I ask you, what are the consequences if, for instance, some of the materials are not returned?
We haven't had that happen in all the time that we've had the law library, but it would be the same as if any material did not come back to the library. We would seek reimbursement from the person that borrowed it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Call the roll, please.
Councilman Harris,
4.
Councilman Jenkins,
4.
Mayor Price,
4.
Councilwoman Scott,
4.
Vice Mayor Vick,
4.
Councilwoman Woodbury,
4.
Councilwoman Cherry.
4.
Motion carries 7-0.
Page 118, item G4. Madam Manager.
This is a request to adopt an ordinance authorizing an encroachment upon the 23rd Street right-of-way and authorizing the city manager to execute an encroachment agreement between the City of Newport News, Virginia and Rail House LLC for property located at 206 23rd Street, and I recommend approval.
Are there any cards?
No, sir.
Is there a motion to adopt the ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Councilman Harris,
4.
Councilman Jenkins,
4.
Mayor Price,
4.
Councilwoman Scott,
4.
Vice Mayor Vick,
4.
Councilwoman Woodbury,
4.
Councilwoman Cherry. 4. Motion carries 7-0.
Item H, Madam Manager.
Yes, we have one appropriation, and it's a request to approve an appropriation of $682,682 in Hampton Road Sanitation District HRSD funds for the Hampton Trunk A and B replacement project along Jefferson Avenue, and I recommend approval.
Is there a motion to approve item H1?
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Councilman Harris,
4.
Councilman Jenkins,
4.
Mayor Price,
4.
Councilwoman Scott,
4.
Vice Mayor Vick,
4.
Councilwoman Woodbury,
4.
Councilwoman Cherry. 4. Motion carries 7-0.
We are now at citizens' comments on matters that are germane to the business of council. I will call the cards as presented. Antonio Thompson. Good evening.
Thank you. My name is Antonio Thompson. This is the Word of God. St. Matthew chapter 26, verse 29. But I say unto you, I will not drink henceforth of this fruit of the vine until that day when I drink it new with you in the name of my Father who art in the kingdom of heaven. Amen. I, Antonio Thompson, will not possess, nor smoke, nor buy marijuana until marijuana is lawful to possess, grow, and smoke in the Commonwealth of Virginia, as I pray strongly that Virginia Attorney General Mark Herring is elected governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia and sign into law the decriminalization and legalization of marijuana. On August 8th, 2019 AD, I, Antonio Thompson, was arrested for possession of marijuana, and I thank the Lord in the name of Jesus Christ that my request for mercy to be released from jail on my own reconnaissance was granted. Thank you, Lord. I am so grateful to be speaking at this city council meeting and not in jail. I pray hard to the Lord on the day of my release that the Lord, in the name of Jesus Christ, please take away my desire to possess and smoke marijuana until the day marijuana is legal and lawful for me to possess, grow, and smoke. And the Lord responded in a voice very clear, it is done. And I say unto the city council and to the Commonwealth of Virginia, it is indeed done. I have no desire to possess nor smoke marijuana. Corporation of Newport News, I love you. In the name of Jesus Christ, I love you. Trump 2020. Vote Trump 2020. Thank you. I feel great. Now that I am not breaking the law, my arrest has turned into a great opportunity to serve. I mean that with all my heart. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Randy Abbott. Good evening.
Yes, good evening. I have some literature to pass out. Should I just mail it to you, or can somebody
Give it
pass
to
it
the
out?
clerk.
Should be enough there. My name is Randy Abbott. I've been a Newport News citizen for 67 years. Born and raised here, and I have been in business for over 40 years. And I'm here tonight to discuss one of the businesses, which is Deep Creek Landing Marina. It's not the first time I've been here. I was here in 2007 talking to the council, and it was Joe Frank was the mayor back then. My marina is in direct competition with Leeward. We are the only two marinas in Newport News of this kind. Now let me give you this scenario, and I want y'all to really listen, and I hope the citizens of Newport News are listening. I have paid $1 million in taxes in 9 years to this city. This marina has paid over $200,000 since the year 2000 to this city. So here's the scenario I give you today. We have two building supply companies in Newport News. One is called Lowe's, and one is the City of Newport News Building Products. Now, the difference is in the materials is nothing. But the difference in the pricing is 30 to 40% less with the city's building supply place. That's what this letter shows you. I've done a recent survey, and again, your slip rental rates are 30% cheaper, 40% cheaper in some situations on local marinas around here. I can't compete against this anymore. It's hurting me. It's not fair to be as a businessman. The second thing, if you look at this, I've got a letter here that addresses city council, and it talks about the meters at Leeward, 2007 to Joe Frank, to the city manager. 2007, the meters, just like your house, you have a meter that measures the kilowatts, and you bill for it. Every marina has it. Leeward has not fixed it in over 12 years. Right now, I called last week, it's $33 for all the electricity you want. I've got one pier at my marina with 16 boats, and it averages $2,000 a month to these boats. Y'all are losing money here. You're losing the taxpayers' money. I need help. You're taking my tenants. Your gas prices are cheaper than everybody else in town. I checked the other day, you can see there, double digits, 12 to 25 cents difference. I cannot continue to compete with the city of Newport News. That's why I'm here tonight. Please help.
Thank you, sir.
I'll be happy to comment and give you a report. My understanding is Mr. Abbott did call the office today. I was unable to speak with him. Assistant City Manager Clayton returned his phone call, but I think he left a message, so I'd be happy to have Mr. Clayton talk with you and get some additional information, then I'll provide additional information from City Council. I did have an opportunity, though, to have staff pull some information, and as he had indicated, there's some correspondence that goes back a number of years, so I want the opportunity to take a look at it and provide a report to council.
Thank you.
And Mr. Abbott, I would just like to say thank you for doing business with our city that long, and I would want someone from our team to be able to see what we can do to rectify this problem.
I really need an opportunity to look at it because this predates.
You were out of town. I've called twice. They didn't tell me you were out of town, but your office did call the assistant mayor today and left me a message. So anyway,
We'll be happy if you want to have some conversation with them, with the assistant city manager. He is here. I'll be happy to talk with you outside and see if we can get a meeting arranged with some folks. More than happy to talk with you.
Mr. Abbott, one question. Was I to understand that you said that people are leaving your marina because it's less expensive to go to the other marina? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, yes. I've got more vacancies than I've ever had. I've had tenants say, God, Abbott, I hate to say it, but I got to go get gas somewhere else. You're too high. I know where they're going. My gas prices are down. My diesel prices are down. My slip rents are down. That's all my income. I got put $1 million, over $1 million in it. It's a beautiful marina. There are only 3 marinas in Newport News, and y'all own 2 of them.
Thank you, sir. We'll look into it. Jason Godfrey. Good evening.
Hi, my name's Jason Godfrey, and my wife and I operate Deep Creek Landing Marina along with my father-in-law. And I'm here today to address the numerous problems that the city has allowed to persist at Menchville Marina. The city has allowed workboats from all over the bay to use this facility with little to no oversight. These boat owners are not required to sign a lease, so therefore there is no record of who they are. Owners of these vessels do not possess insurance, so when their boats sink, the city is left to deal with it. I mean, we have numerous boats, probably 5 or 6 boats this year that have sunk out there, and basically y'all are left to clean up the mess. So local boaters and residents are also forced to look at this environmental disaster that is an ongoing basis. There have been multiple complaints to VMRC and Parks and Rec, but they've fallen upon deaf ears. I mean, they basically tell us the same thing every time we call down there, you know, we're working on it, but nothing ever happens. Nothing changes. I mean, these boats are leaking oil, they're pumping their bilges out, and I mean, it's all going into the creek. I mean, all of our marshes are sucking it up. I mean, the trash is unbelievable. I think we gave y'all some literature up there. We've taken some pictures that show an abandoned boat that has been halfway pulled out of the water, and it's been sitting there for months. And I mean, that's just kind of the norm down there. We don't feel that the residents that live in Deep Creek should have to look at this on a daily basis. I mean, it's just not fair to them. I mean, it's not fair to all the rest of the taxpayers to have to, you know, be funding the cleanup of all these boats. Most of the boats aren't even registered in Newport News. They come from Gloucester, Hayes, Matthews, and I mean, we're the one that's dealing with it. So, you know, if any help that we could get on this, it'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate you bringing this forward. This is an issue that we are aware of, and it was my intent actually to have a work session with council in September about the Menchville Marina and some things that we have in the works to be able to address some of the issues. And I was hoping, even if possible, maybe not that day, but to take council out on a tour so that you could see the marina and see that environment, and then we could talk to you about some of the steps that we've already taken in that regard. So
Because I recall CNU has part of that marina, right?
That's clean, that's the clean part.
yeah, they do have a building there
Yeah.
that they use for their selling
Right.
piece. But he's brought forward
Yeah.
some good
It's pretty
issues that we
bad
are
looking.
aware of, that we
I
are
know.
working on, and we have something in the works, and hopefully by the end of September we'll have something for council to act on as well.
Mr. Godfrey, I was there last week. I actually went out to tour it by accident, really. I was at City Farm Park area, and I just kind of rode through, and I couldn't believe what I saw, but I already knew that the city manager was addressing it, so I didn't bring up anything additional to her, but we appreciate you sharing that. It does need some attention. I was there to clean the bay 3 years ago, and it has gotten progressively worse over 3 years. From when I went to clean the bay.
There's always an oil slick floating on the water. These guys are filling their boats up with diesel, you know, out of cans, which they're spilling into the creek. I mean, it's not a good environment. And I mean, you know, basically the city is getting nothing out of it. You know, it's just costing us.
So thank you.
Thanks.
We'll be happy to let you know when we go out there if you'd like to join us, as well as the rest of the public. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Janie Bazemore. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, and Madam City Manager. My name is Janie Bazemore. I reside at 1004 Hampton Avenue in the city. I thank your planning department and others for the July 31st presentation on the Huntington Complex. But with today's atmosphere of unrest and violence, I remain concerned about the safety of the school campus and our students when we add things on a school campus that invites the public during school hours. We must be more vigilant now than ever when it comes to school safety. We need to rebuild Huntington first. We need to do so now, and then we can look at other resources for the area. Recreation cannot be put ahead of education of our young people. The United States is lagging behind in education, as is this city. Huntington has to be done now because there are other schools that are going to need repairs down the road. Let Huntington be a priority. If we don't educate our future generations, they won't make the money to spend in your economic development projects. The rebuilding of Huntington Middle School needs to start no later than 2020. Give us the funds to begin the plans and the design now, and let's reopen the school as soon as possible. Huntington shall rise again. Thank you.
Adrian Whitcomb. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, City Manager, members of council, and everybody else here. Earlier this month, there was a celebration up at Jamestown for the first legislative representative body in English-speaking America. At the end of this month, the weekend of August 24th and 25th, there'll be another event. This is called a commemoration of the arrival of the first Africans to the English-speaking area of America. This was not at Jamestown because they stopped there first at Old Point Comfort, which later became Fort Monroe. So there's a lot about this on the Fort Monroe Authority website. So all you have to do is just Google Fort Monroe Authority and you can find out details. But we're talking about 400 years ago now. And there'll be all kinds of events going on. Some will actually start before a few days before the weekend. So check it out, please. This area of Virginia is very rich in history, and we all learned a lot about it back. If we grew up in this area, you know what we learned back as we were growing up, but we don't learn everything. You know, I didn't know much about Fort Monroe until the last, 10 years or, 15 years or so ago now. And that's because we emphasize certain points of our history and we don't teach everything. But this will be an opportunity, and I'm encouraging people to go out to Fort Monroe. And there's a radio show, Another View, that's on WHRV that will have a program there. A program will be there on the Friday, on the 23rd. While I'm up here, of course, I'm going to say something about the City Forum, about Riverview Farm Park, and I want to thank you for the part in the CIP that gives the money for the City Farm portion of Riverview. Hopefully there will be some trails out there soon that the public can use. We need to keep in mind the history of this city, because this city has a lot of history too. Not just Jamestown, not just Fort Monroe, but this city does too. So we have to preserve what we have and carry it forward for people in the future to enjoy, both the history and the recreational value of this place. So I wish you the best for the remainder of the summer and encourage you to go out there and enjoy Riverview Farm Park and work together to open it to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Mary Voss. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Mary Voss. I'm a Newport News Public Schools graduate teacher and parent, and a member of the Newport News Education Association, which is our local teachers union. Last month, 4 out of 7 city council members voted against the CIP budget that further postpones funding for a new Huntington Middle School and that further postpones funding for a pool at Denby Community Center. I want to thank council members Cherry, Scott, Harris, and Jenkins for bravely taking a stand on July 9th against this unfair budget that does not fulfill its public funding responsibilities to Newport News citizens. And thank you to council members Scott, Harris, and Jenkins for sticking to their original vote now a month later. One would hope that with the majority of council members rejecting the CIP budget on July 9th, that the city manager would have taken time to meet with all concerned council members to get their input and to craft a better budget that all of city council could support. Or at the very least, to announce changes moving forward to make more balanced budgets that don't further postpone new constructions on schools, community centers, and libraries because of extravagant sweetheart deals for private companies and developers. Also, at the very least, the redo of the CIP budget vote should have been announced to the public so that we could make public comments on it. As of right now, the council agenda for tonight posted online at the official Newport News City Council website does not include this revote on the CIP budget that has been pushed through without any opportunity for public comment tonight. I find it concerning that no public comments were permitted on the CIP budget tonight before the vote, which was not even publicly announced. It's almost as if the public's opinion was unwanted and intentionally avoided. This is not what open, transparent government looks like. An example of the way the city has over-prioritized economic development over long-awaited, long-promised public projects in recent years is the $50 million spent on the Scott Center deal and the $30 million spent on a taxpayer-funded parking garage and city center for a private company. This $80 million in unplanned, unbudgeted economic development spending was used to justify postponing funding for Huntington Middle and a pool at Denby Community Center, even though council members were never informed at the time that supporting the Scott Center and the City Center parking garage deals would mean that long-awaited public projects like Huntington Middle and the DCC pool would be pushed back even farther. If funding for Huntington Middle School keeps getting pushed back further and further, how will all the other aging school buildings in Newport News ever get funded on time? Please keep in mind that in recent CIP budgets, Newport News school buildings receive only about half the funding per square foot as other city buildings. As my preschool students would say, that's not fair. And please remember that Huntington had to be closed in 2018 due to dilapidation and safety concerns after years of inadequate funding for school maintenance and repair. A 2017 study by Mosley Architects identified many, many more schools that are in critical need of renovations and replacements that are in the pipeline right behind Huntington. Riverside Elementary needs to be renovated by 2021 at a cost of $4.8 million in 2017 dollars. Sedgefield Elementary by 2021.
Thank you.
My
Mr.
closing was going to be
would
to
you
ask you to
comment
vote
on
against
the,
this budget
ma'am,
again.
your time
Now
is up. You may
instead,
sit down.
I
Thank
urge
you.
to ask
Thank you.
questions
Thank you.
about where the money
You
is
may
going
sit
in
down.
this city.
Thank you. And if you continue to override your time, you won't be allowed to speak.
Why do you only call me out on that instead of other speakers?
Because you're the only one that abuse it. Would you comment on the public hearing? Would you comment on the public hearing part that she mentioned, why we did not have a public hearing?
This public comment on the CIP was at the last meeting. When it was defeated, there's a provision in the code for reconsideration of an item from the prior meeting, can only be from the prior meeting at the next regular meeting, and a council member has to provide written notice at least 24 hours in advance of their intent to bring a motion to reconsider. There's nothing that requires that they bring that motion, even if they give the written notice. So it's not an agenda item. It would have come up under old business. The council agreed to move it forward from old business further up on the agenda to new business, but it is not. It was not a.
Ma'am, you're out of order.
Okay. But anyway, that's why.
Pam Hall. Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Pam Hall. I live in the Southeast community. Artificial intelligence, self-driving cars, drones, FaceTime, and whatever the imagination dreamed up and portrayed on TV shows in my past are today's realities. We must cultivate inquisitive minds to think outside the box. The school system has that enormous task. We should do whatever to ensure They have adequate salaries and modern facilities. We can start with a new 22nd century Huntington STEAM Middle School now, so we can set the standard and attract a community of families, businesses vying to take advantage of all Newport News has to offer. 2013, Chad Pritchett, city senior analyst, stated Huntington Middle School replacement funding would be available in 2018-2019. 2015-2019 CIP footnote includes a new Huntington at a cost of $40 million. 2016, the school system submitted a $143 million budget, of which $62 million was for a new Huntington, cut to about half by the city manager. 2019, the city is proposing $37 million at a future date and stated more funding could be made available if the city's vision is included. But you say there's only a limited amount of funds. The longer funding is delayed puts more children at risk of incarceration or death. Our citizens and our children in Southeast Newport News deserve better. Without hopes and dreams, a future can seem bleak. If we are one city, let the tax dollars of this city be equally split among all parts of the city. Why must the Southeast continue to be devoid of growth? June 5th, 2016, per the Daily Press opinion article. Having good schools is itself among the most important economic development initiatives any community can make. They are a big reason families and businesses move into and settle down in the city. A city community center, a nonprofit which pays $1 a year rent to the school system, a closed public school, and a public library. All are separate entities linked only by a common thread called city funding. Thank you.
Those are all the cards that I have turned in. We're now at new business. Madam Manager.
Nothing, sir.
Mr. Attorney.
Nothing, sir.
Madam Clerk.
Yes, sir. I'd like to ask you to join me in welcoming our newest Deputy City Clerk, Ms. Laura Graham.
Councilman Harris.
Yes, and good evening to everyone that's here in attendance and everyone who's watching online and on TV. I do have a couple announcements. There will be several events coming up that I want to make sure everybody is aware of. One is coming up soon on the 22nd at First Baptist Church Denby is a family conference in which we'll be on a panel. I thank my colleague, Ms. Sharon Scott, and I think Chief Drew will be there. It begins at 6:30 at First Baptist Church Denby, as we will be answering questions, talking about the state of the city, issues that citizens may bring up in some of their concerns in regards to crime and other things. So it'll be a good informative session for anyone to come in, be a part of that discussion that'll take place. Now, I will be sliding out of there because that begins at 6:30, and then I have to be at New Beach Grove at 7 o'clock that same night, as I'll be speaking at a commemoration celebration with the Juneteenth ceremony put on by the SCLC. So the 22nd, there's several events going on in the North District that will be a great events for our community to be a part of. On August 23rd, there will be one of several back-to-school supply drives at Marshall Court's Boys and Girls Club from 3 to 6. The event is put on by Not My Child organization, Mr. Devon Kelly, who has taken upon himself to be more active in the community when it comes to violence with our young people. And he will be having a school supply drive on the 23rd from 3 to 6 at Marshall Court. Also, on August 30th from 5 to 11, come on out to Rebounders, located on 12650 Patrick Henry Drive. Mr. John Morgan, who is one of the general managers there, will be having an event to help support the end of violence in the community. Be a great event. Law enforcement will be out, community leaders will be out, and then we'll have the young people there be able to go jump, have a good time, along with being able to receive some more school supplies. And that'll take place August 30th from 5 to 11 at the trampoline. gym rebounders located once again on 12650 Patrick Henry Drive. A couple other announcements I do want to make, that we have been hearing a lot of negative news lately with some of the unfortunate incidents in our community. So what I have been doing and what I like to do is always make some highlights of some positive news in our community. And tonight, we have a group of young men that are here led by another, I call him a young man because I used to watch him play basketball when he was winning state championships at Woodside High School. He's now the high school varsity coach at Woodside High School. And if I could have the Woodside varsity basketball team members to stand, I see some of them are here. Don't be scared, you can stand up. And while they're standing, the reason why I wanted to highlight these young men, because they are doing a lot more than just playing basketball. These young men, I've had the opportunity to witness them get on a bus throughout time that they were out of school, to go and ride a bus throughout different neighborhoods in the North District to pass out books with the Books on Bikes organization and giving out books and literature material to young people so they could read throughout the course of the summer. They did it during the Christmas season as well to be sure they had reading material during the course of their time out of school. And not only do they do that, they also have a mentorship program that Coach Welsh runs with his feeder schools in the community. So he's making sure that they are being active off the court and allowing those young people who are looking up to him as varsity basketball players are getting that role model, a big brother relationship, which is much needed. He also offers a free kid skills and drills clinic to young people in our community. He'll be around a few minutes after the meeting, so if you want more information on how you could be a part of his free kid skills and drills clinic, he could share that with you. But like I said, I'm more excited about what they do off the court than what they do on the court. He's shown that he's been a champion on the court, and now he's trying to champion these young men outside in our community. So we just wanted to acknowledge, because with all the news that we've been hearing lately, we've had a lot of good news that doesn't get talked about. And this is some good news here to have these young men here and the great things that they are doing and the great things that they're going to continue to do. And I hope we can come back or have you guys back as we can recognize you as state champions sooner or later. So we want to thank you. We applaud you. We appreciate you. And keep up the great work, young men. And I look forward to seeing what you guys do coming up real soon when basketball season begins. And that's all I have, Mayor Price. Oh, I'm sorry, Mayor Price. I had one more thing. I can't forget this. On August 23rd as well, I'll be celebrating my 11th wedding anniversary. So I heard some static. I thought they were trying to cut me off. But I can't leave out here without telling my wife I love you. I know she's watching at home with the kids. This will be our 11th anniversary. My amazing, she's beautiful, she's smart, she's loving, and I just want her to know I wouldn't be where I am today without you, so wherever you are looking at TV, I love you with all my heart, and happy anniversary.
We love you.
Yeah, I think you'll be able to go home tonight.
Real quick.
Councilman Jenkins.
Nothing for this evening.
Okay, I do have a few things I want to talk about, and since he started down that road, I would like to wish my wife a happy birthday today, and also say hi to my grandson who's visiting, and he's covering for me to make sure that she has a great birthday. And it's almost your bedtime, man. Go to bed. We've also had many events since our last council meeting, and since we only have one council meeting this month as well, I want to make sure that we recognize a few things. I want to say congratulations to Achievable Dream in high school for their new wellness center equipment that they received. The ribbon cutting was very good. It was an outstanding tennis exhibition. There was Tony Brothers was there also, and he's a great referee. We're going to have to work on his tennis game. I'm just challenging him. I was also honored to be in attendance, kind of a bittersweet deconsecration service at St. Paul's Episcopal Church. Pat was there as well, and we're part of this. They've been a part of this community for 130 years, and it was really striking to see how they really stripped the altar and all that. And it was really sad. It was almost like a funeral. And they've been a tremendous asset to this community for years. And if you've driven past Warwick Boulevard, you now see that the bridges over Lake Maury is now open, and we have about 25,000 drivers go past there daily. There is a live dedication that's now on, which is interesting. I don't know. Virtual dedication on the web. So we'll see how that goes. Also, Brooks Crossings on the 24th, that building is going to be dedicated or opened. The governor's going to be here on the 24th at noon, so I want to make sure that the public is invited as well to come and see, especially the first floor, which is going to be dedicated to the neighborhood. About name some of the organizations that are going to be on that floor. I know ODU is going to be on it.
ODU is involved. The shipyard obviously is involved. I think HR CAP is involved. I think Goodwill is involved. The workforce development.
So the first floor is going to be pretty much dedicated to showing what other industries the shipyard has available, types of jobs, and things to communicate to the community with those 600-plus engineers and designers that will be working there at the shipyard. We had National Night Out Tuesday. Chief, I don't know about you, but I found some good food. It was nice, as I said, to see so many communities coming out, sharing their neighborhoods with people as they come by and say hello. And lastly, I just want to, I'm going to borrow Pat's thing here for a moment here now. Last week we had a play ball event that was canceled because of rain. Tomorrow, the forecast does not look good either. So if it is canceled tomorrow, we will not have it this year. It's supposed to be tomorrow at 5 to 8, but it doesn't look like, I don't know. We'll know by noon, so look out for the website to see whether or not we're going to have this. This was a organization, the baseball and the U.S. Conference of Mayors joined forces to try and bring more minorities into playing baseball again. So it's an event that we give in August. They send us T-shirts, sunglasses, and things for the kids. So it's a great event. We have food, trucks, the plays, sports, and everything out there. And the kids have to hit, throw a ball, and run the bases. And if they do that, they are eligible for some prizes. So hopefully the weather will cooperate, but I don't think it will. But anyway, that's all I have. Who is next? Councilwoman Scott.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I have a few things. Good evening, everyone, and I'm so glad to see you all out in this very nice weather. Y'all heard the thunder, right? I was waiting in a minute for the lights to go out, but it didn't happen, so we're still here. But it's always a pleasure to hear the concerns of the citizens and to be able to exchange the information and help you out where we can. But I have to comment also about the Demi Warwick tour, and what the value I saw in bringing all of these agencies together was not only did they get a chance to see our possibilities, but they had a chance to see our challenges. So I think everybody getting together gave us a better idea of what we see in the North District and what everybody see collectively, and I think it's going to be a very positive outcome as we move forward on that plan. So I look forward to what's to come. National Night Out was nothing short of amazing. I did run into the chief a couple times, and the best food, don't you agree, was at Willow Drive? And every year, it's just amazing to see how the community comes together and the excitement that it actually built. And my first stop was Nettles Drive, and there were over 100 kids there. And the chief would have had a field day, but he wasn't there when I left. But there were over 100 kids, and they were talking about the evening, the excitement of it, and more importantly, they were ready to have the hamburgers and hot dogs, but it was exciting to be there. Also, I went out touring some of the park and recreation facilities last week, and I ended up at Dory Miller Pool. What an amazing pool, City Manager Roth. What an amazing pool. It was not many people there. Security was there. It was absolutely beautiful. And as I sat there, I just kept imagining, maybe it could just transition, just move up the street, to Denby. But it is so beautiful. And
If you trade the Rexon.
Oh no! Oh no! Not happening. But it was really beautiful, and I hope that the citizens in this community, in the Southeast community, I hope they really appreciate this, because as I was going through it, we talked about what it costs to maintain it, and the lifeguards there, the security guards there, the sign-in process, and there were some people there from other cities who said they would be willing to pay to use our facility at Dory Miller. So I don't know how we can make money off of Hampton, but if we can, there's a possibility. But because they saw the value in it, and they said they could only imagine having a place that nice to bring their children. So it was just exciting to be there, and I really enjoyed it. We have our North District Town Hall meetings will resume on August 26th, and we always leave that night as back to school. So Dr. Parker himself will be at the meeting, because the other two board members, not because, but the other two board members said they were not available to do their one meeting this year from the north. So Dr. Parker will be there to talk about back to school, and all the kids who come accompanied by an adult will receive free back to school supplies. So I see everybody is creating opportunities to make sure that our kids go back to school with what they need, and that's the part we're going to do this year from the North District. Also, I want to encourage everybody to, did I give y'all a date for the town hall meeting? Yes, date and time, August 26th, 7 o'clock, I'm sorry. Also, I want to encourage everybody to attend the World Arts Festival on August 24th at City Center, and it's from 4 p.m. until 8 p.m., and it has been an annual event for a few years now, and it has so many opportunities. It shows the diversity of our city, so please come out and support our World Arts Festival. And as a point of privilege, I'd just like to wish a speedy recovery to Ashley Terrick. She is our one youth town hall meeting attendee. She's there just about every meeting when she's not at school. And a happy birthday to our Director of Juvenile Services, Dawn Barber. And that's all I have tonight, Mr. Mayor.
Vice Mayor Vick.
What a way to start out this morning at our Newport News Public Schools new teachers breakfast. Chief Drew was there, as well as Councilwoman Woodbury. But just an excellent turnout, over 200 teachers there, and I love the way, the enthusiasm of the entire group. Our Dr. Parker was so enthused, and it just really made it even better because council members were there, as well as our chief. We had representatives from Cox and some of the amazing things they're going to do to provide internet access to our young people and the partnership. So that was a great way to start our day today. And also, just wanted to say, so many times at our council meetings or as we're out, we don't always get to hear the good feedback from people. But as a council years ago, and the Parks and Recreation Department and all of the departments who were involved, I can't name them all, but the grant that was written to provide a bike trail and walking trail for our Chesapeake Avenue area, the citizens' comments from that have been very good, and citizens really appreciate that area on the beautiful James River. Being able to take walks, it has made our community, that section, so much more accessible to citizens who want to comfortably ride their bikes along that area, as well as walk and get some exercise. So I want to say just kudos to our council members who supported it, as well as our team of professionals who helped to make that happen as a part of the City of Newport News. Also, to my condolences, I know we have our interim Public Works Director, Mr. Frank James, here, and his wife, Denise James, who was also my AKA Soror, but her mother passed. So my condolences to the Whitaker and James family. It was a great homegoing service, and it was great to see how the Public Works employees came out to support for the homegoing services. So my condolences to the family. And lastly, Saturday, if you're available, I love to participate in the Greater Hampton Roads Boys and Girls Club, or is it Greater Peninsula Boys and Girls Club Dental Walk. That will be this Saturday on the 17th. We'll be out there at the Mariners Museum Park at 8 a.m. Well, you need to come before 8 a.m. because we'll start at 8. I know the mayor usually run. I jog/walk and talk on the phone as I'm walking. But the cause, I mean, it's a really great time, particularly when the weather holds up, but just the cause, all of the money that we raise from the walk, even if you don't want to walk, you want to donate, because those funds are used to provide dental care for young people who cannot afford it. And I think that is such a great cause. So if you, their number, you can Google the Greater Peninsula Boys and Girls Club or stop by their place on Hampton Avenue or in Rock Landing, the building in Rock Landing, because it is such a great cause and we always have a good time. So please try to participate, and that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilwoman Woodbury.
Yes. As sad as the closing of St. Paul's and its ministry to the downtown, this area, that is, it's just mind-boggling to me that it had to close because it did so much work and so much outreach for so many homeless and so many people who, would otherwise not been fed. So it was truly a sad, sad occasion, and I don't know that I'd ever want to see that again because it was like a funeral. I do want to also extend condolences on the passing of our former city councilman Haskins, that we just found out this morning had passed away. And thank him and his family for all his years of service to the city. On a better note, a National Night Out was great, and I loved the fact that one family set up a lemonade stand, the kids and the parents in their community, and that, I just thought that was wonderful. They were out there serving lemonade and all the other places with all the good food. It was just great, and all of our, of course, police force there. And it was a wonderful feeling of energy in all the 5 places I went, or 6 places. I've lost count after a while. And so it was very uplifting, and I was delighted to be a part of it. I was also inspired this week by our former state delegate, Crittington. Crittington Middle School was named for her. She turned 95, Flora Crittington, and it was just a great occasion. And I was so inspired by what she said, that one of her life lessons had been from Homer Hines, who was the principal when she was in high school, and had assigned her a project. And she decided she didn't want to do the project. I'm not going to do it. That's what she said. I'm just not going to do it. And so she didn't. But what happened was she was in the choir, and the choir was to go out of town on a concert. And she wasn't allowed to go. And it taught her that wonderful life lesson of consequences, which I think we really need to pay more attention to in our schools today and with our whole system. Behavior has consequences. And it had been a life lesson for her, and she shared it with us. She was just delightful. And then the other inspiration was this morning when Vice Mayor and I were at the new teacher break. I've never missed one of them. Last year was the first one I'd ever missed. But a young man who wrote a poem about his teacher in 7th grade that had taught him about life and life's lessons through music. That was the most beautiful poem. I'm hoping we can, have him come and read it one night as an inspiration. He showed me pictures of all of the vegetables that all those kids had raised in their garden. The children took them home. They have now they had built a water container so that they can water, with rainwater but the innovative and the way of hands-on teaching, which is so important to our students. He was amazing. His last name was Perry, and I can't remember his first name. I don't know whether you do. Was it James? I don't know. But anyway, I want him to come down and also share some of the wonderful things that teachers in our system are doing. And he was just inspirational. So our education system is inspiration and motivating and being positive. So it was a great week to end on. I just loved it. And I hope you will go by Crittington and take a look at the garden. And I said, can I come and buy some vegetables? Because it's organic. Everything's organic. He doesn't use any pesticides or anything. So thank you for allowing me to feature that.
Councilwoman Cherry.
Good evening. I'd like to thank everyone for coming tonight. I'd like to also extend my condolences to Frank James and his wife, Denise James. Denise is one of my colleagues, but also an evangelist at our ministry, so my prayers are continuing with the family as well. I'd like to thank all of the neighborhood watch groups that sponsored National Night Out. I had a great time, and I was thankful for those that combined to show partnership. That was great. So I didn't have to do 13. So that was a wonderful night. But I want to thank Chief Drew also for the kickoff that we had at the police department at 4 that were out, and the community that really showed that we really want to build our community and make it a better city. I'd like to just give a couple announcements for August, and then I'll give for September, since we won't be here until September, after Labor Day. We will have our Your Voice Matters South District Town Hall meeting. It's scheduled for this Thursday, August the 15th, from 6 to 7:30 at the Down and Girls Cultural Arts Center. This is an open meeting, and it's an open meeting for discussion, concerns, and sharing of ideas and exchanges of information at this meeting. So please come out and join us. This is a collaborative partnership between City Council, the school board, and the police department, so you will get updates on what's happening in the area, in those 3 particular areas. I would like to invite you to the last summer concert series that's going to be sponsored by Parks and Recreation. That's going to be held on this Saturday, August the 17th, and I think it's from 6 to 8 p.m. at King Lincoln Park, and my husband used to call it our Pearl on the James. Rare Essence will be the featured band, so come on out and join us and bring your lawn chairs for Saturday. We will have our Back to School Community Fest on Saturday, August the 24th, from 1 to 3 p.m. at 617 27th Street. We have free school supplies for all children, but the children must be accompanied by an adult, and adults, you must have a child on your hand as well. Following that, we do encourage you to go ahead and move over to the Brooks Crossing Innovation and Opportunity Center, and it's going to be really hands-on for our children. So they're going to come and get their backpacks, and then we really want them to move on up to 30th Street, I believe it is, to get to the Innovation Center, and that's going to be until 5 o'clock. So encourage everyone to come out and do that. I do have 3 birthdays that I'd like to give shout-outs for. My nephew, Lawrence Allen Britt, I'm not sure of his age, but his birthday is on August the 17th. Lamont Britt, his birthday is on August the 20th. And then I'd like to say happy birthday to my Aunt Addie 3. She is the matriarch of our family, and she is a hoot. She's amazing. She will turn 86 on her birthday, which is August the 31st. And my Aunt Addie continues to be the domino champion for the family. She beats me at least 2 out of 3 games every Sunday, so I'm working on that. And she teases me about that as well. September, just want to wish everybody a happy and safe Labor Day. Whatever you're going to do on Labor Day, the kids go back to school the next day, so please be safe and careful. And then on Tuesday, September the 3rd, we will have our Faith Justice Community Meeting, and that will be held at police headquarters. That is being hosted by the police department. Thank you, Chief Drew, for coming and give us the updates and stats. I think that was really important for them to see you and hear where we are in the city. And we invite all pastors that are interested in what's happening to get involved in this faith justice community meeting. And if you're not able to come, please send a pastoral representative to join us. And that meeting is from 2 to 3 on Tuesday, September the 3rd. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I would just like to say, we really would like a bike and walking path like you have down in your community up at the city farm.
Okay. I'm not gonna do it, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. If there's no further business, may what you say and do uplift the city of Newport News. We stand adjourned.